Going on, guys, is I, the Terrific Theist, and I'm here to just tell you guys that I had a pretty good workout. Spent like 2 hours working out, then hitting the hot tub and the pool. It's really good. It always feels good to work out. They say, helps get your testosterone going throughout the day, makes you feel better. And, I only recently got my gym membership about, almost like half a month ago, maybe, around that time frame, early August, right after getting married. So, basically, just trying to bulk up, build my body, get back in shape, develop my cardio, my endurance, stamina, muscles, and all the rest of that stuff. So, sorry about the noise. I'm walking to 7-Eleven to get something to eat at the moment because I felt like getting one of their hot dogs because I find their hot dogs to be pretty good. So, anyway, the reason why I'm especially trying to dedicate my time to going to the gym and working out is, you never know when you're going to need to use your body strength and your athletic ability in case, shit hits the fan, since it looks like we're about to go to another civil war and stuff. And make no mistake, if the Republicans win the midterms, especially if these Republicans happen to be either pro-Trump, very nationalistic, pro-free speech, the Second Amendment, Christianity and all that stuff, if they win in the midterms, then there's going to be civil war. There's going to be blood. And it can be sure that Antifa will be the first ones to act and stuff if they go that way. Now, if the Republicans lose the midterms and there is indeed a blue wave, then there's possibility that the right might start the civil war. Either way, civil war may be coming because it's definitely due to the fact of Trump derangement syndrome and all of the social justice warriors and progressive fascists and fanatics. They're going to basically try to take it and try to completely fuck over the country. They've lost all sorts of moderation because of their insane fear and outright insanity when it comes to Donald Trump and his administration, which of course is total bullshit. So essentially, our democracy or our Constitution and our republic is being undermined by a bunch of insane, psychotic, far-left radicals. In fact, this is one of the reasons why back in the old days, during the time of the Founding Fathers, only people who owned land could vote. It was a way so that we didn't become a mob rule, because that's essentially what pure democracy is. Pure democracy is mob rule, where the majority rules, and the majority can oppress the minority. That's the reality. And it's not a good system to have, because all you just have to do is make enough people afraid and convince enough people that something is true that they'll eventually believe it's true and then vote according to that supposed truth, which is extremely dangerous. So the fact is, we are a democratic republic. We're not a democracy, we're a democratic republic. Democratic means that we use the ability of voting and the fact the population has a say in how politics are run. But that doesn't mean that we're pure or an actual democracy. No, we're a republic. We're a democratic representative republic. We vote on who our leaders are, and they represent us, so that they can pass laws dedicated on what we voted them on. That's how the country works. And when you look at it, America, compared to a lot of other countries, has a very well put together system. And when it comes to a representative republic, I would argue that America has one of the best republics in the history of human civilization. Despite all of its flaws, all the corruption, all of the workings of the deep state, the bureaucrats, the lobbyists, all that bullshit and stuff, the activist judges on the circuits as well as the Supreme Courts, compared to republics throughout history, our republic has lasted a good long time. Now, the problem is that we have a bunch of crazy psychos who think that we should be a pure democracy, and normally they tend to be socialists and anarchists and stuff, which is funny because socialism almost always leads to less democracy than more democracy, because when the economy collapses and the government takes more power, they tend to take more power. They tend to give the people less power rather than give them more power. This is the reality. That's one of the reasons why the whole power to the people thing, it's a communist moniker. It's a call to anarchy, a call to communism, socialism, progressive, whatever you want to call it. So whenever you hear someone say power to the people, what they mean is they want a communist state, basically, or something similar to communism. That's the reality. It's the same thing with like the Black Power movements and stuff, like Black Lives Matter, Black Panthers, all that bullshit. There are also Marxist groups as well. They want to establish a pro-black nationalist super state that will basically redistribute the wealth. Like when you look at the goal of black nationalists and stuff, it's exactly like socialists, basically. All it is it's just socialism and Marxism painted in a black-centric type of way, where instead of redistributing the wealth among the lower class, it's redistributing the wealth among people of color. So that's all it is. Black nationalism is just racial Marxism. Like a lot of people like to compare white nationalism to Marxism. The thing is, white nationalism is still, in a sense, different from black nationalism in the sense where it tends to take a more nationalist, it takes an ethno-nationalism stance, but it tends to, at least in a way, be anti-communist, whereas black nationalism happens to be very pro-communist. So that's the reality of these groups. So the thing is as we are right now, is depending on how the midterms go and even how 2020 goes, we could be facing a new civil war, which, if it happens, I'm fairly confident that the right can beat the progressives and the Democrats if they try to start a civil war, because we also still have the guns. It all depends on if the federal government doesn't enact a full ban on guns and stuff. As long as we have guns, we can definitely beat them. And whoever attacks first is going to have to deal with the military. It depends on if Trump is still in office at the time and if the Republicans still control the government. So the reality is that there could be a huge amount of violence in the coming future, and we have to be ready for it, because it's been shown that Antifa is definitely dedicated to committing acts of violence to silence people that they disagree with and that they deem fascist and stuff. So they're anti-American. Antifa is a terrorist group. Hell, they dress and look like an American version of ISIS. That's the reality. You can call them anti-fascist all they want, but the question is, who do they deem fascist? Like, I could say I'm a freedom fighter, and I could go around bombing Muslims and Mexicans and all the people who I deem enemies of America and stuff. Does that mean I'm supporting freedom? Bullshit, no. Again, names are meaningless if the actions don't coincide with their with the claims that they're fighting for and stuff. And that's the reality, is they're not anti-fascist. They're in fact fascists themselves. To them, anyone to the right of Salt, like hell, even people on the center left are basically called fascists and Nazis by them, because they won't go along with their insane Trump derangement syndrome and stuff. That's all it is. The ironic thing is that Antifa are afraid. They're all scared people who are lashing out in anger and hate and stuff. They say no hate, but they're also hating themselves. It's a stupid delusion that they're in, and they're cancer to sight. When you look at it, the founding fathers were incredibly smart and almost like what's the word? Like psychic. Yeah, like the psychic, as in the ability, fortune teller, like to look into the future almost and see that, oh yeah, if we give everyone voting rights, even the most uneducated and easily manipulated moron could vote and potentially elect an insane socialist or progressive that could completely destroy the nation. This is one of the reasons why a lot of people back in the old days could not vote, because they didn't own land. Because people who owned land have a stake in the economy. They have to be able to maintain that land and have to understand a semblance of how to manage their money, be self-sufficient, independent, and be able to pay their taxes. That's the reality. See, today, due to modern culture, things are different now. So that's the reason why a lot of people are proposing either civics tests for voting or you have to be a net taxpayer, as in you have to pay enough amount in taxes to be able to vote. Meaning, if you're some homeless bum on welfare and social benefits by the government, you would not be allowed to vote. Now, I understand that a lot of people, even some people on the right, will hate this. I personally feel like this should be a thing, because then it would mean that the federal government, it means that politicians as well as the mainstream news media wouldn't have to basically go to a mob of very uneducated, very misinformed people to basically manipulate them into voting how they want them to. So yeah, in my personal opinion, this would be better. It's the same thing with the Electoral College. The reason why the Electoral College thing is so that the entire nation could get fair representation without people just going to very highly populated cities to essentially win the election when it comes to the presidency. This is a fact. It's the same thing with guns. Like, a lot of these anti-gun activists are acting like basically the founding fathers only meant muskets. Okay, seriously. The reason why the First and Second Amendment should include, the First Amendment should include businesses, like with how people are arguing that the Second Amendment should also include assault weapons, is the fact is the founding fathers did not know that in the future we would basically be a corporate society, because they lived long before the Industrial Revolution, where private businesses became a thing. So they did not know that private businesses would play such a huge part in Americans' livelihood and the ability to make money for themselves through a private company where they could be laid off and especially lose their livelihood. So that's one of the reasons why the First Amendment should always apply to private businesses, because guess what? If your business fires you, you could very well not be able to find a job and be able to make a livelihood for yourself, which affects your ability to live, which means that you are basically silenced through economic and career intimidation, which again, you might as well have been censored by the government. You may not go to jail, but still not being able to do work your job, have a career, make money. Yeah, that's pretty bad. It sucks. So yeah, that's the reason I think the First Amendment should include private businesses. Now, for Second Amendment, people are saying that it only should include muskets, it shouldn't include modern weapons. That's stupid. That's retarded. It should evolve with the country where that should include guns, so we can protect ourselves. And people are as well, the government's so sophisticated, why do we need firearms then if the military is so advanced? Yeah, guess what? The Taliban in Afghanistan are using old-fashioned technology from the 1980s, and they're giving our military hell because they're experts at using guerrilla warfare. If the government went rogue and we had to fight, what we would do is simply form militias and use guerrilla warfare and strategic tactics to take out the government stuff. Simple as that. That's how it would work. There's plenty of ways of doing it. So yeah, that's a bullshit excuse. But of course, again, progressives have an idiotic on their mind. So yeah, it's very frustrating having to explain to people the reasons why these things should be kept and maintained in the Constitution, that gun control is horseshit and censorship is not okay. Anyway, I'm just, walking to 7-Eleven. I'm just going to get this stuff off my mind. If you like what you saw, then please hit the like button, subscribe. This is a terrific theist, signing out.